Rick Carlisle and Jason Kidd are forever tied together in Mavericks history. What does it mean for them 4 years later, especially with Rick Carlisle in the NBA Finals? We'll talk about it next, coming up on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Curl, and, of course, our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on this Thursday afternoon. The legacies of Jason Kidd and Rick Carlisle forever tied together with the Dallas Mavericks. But what does it mean now that Rick Carlisle is in the NBA Finals getting ready for Game 1 tonight? Plus, a little bit later on in the show, we are wrong from time to time.
No, we're not.
Well, our last segment says
speak
that
for yourself.
Yeah. Our last segment says that we're going to be wrong quite a bit today. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But gentlemen, on this terrific Thursday, Tim Cato, what's going on?
It's lovely. Game 1, the NBA Finals. It's here. Let's go. I was probably in Boston about this time a year ago. By about this time, I mean this time a year ago. I was in Boston.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's this doesn't look like Boston.
No. Well, maybe. Bobby, what were you doing this time last year as the NBA Finals for the Mavericks are getting ready to start?
If the Mavs were playing in Boston, I was probably getting real mad watching those games.
Okay. You were getting ready to be real mad watching those games?
They did not go the way I wanted them to, Kevin.
No, they did not, unfortunately. Mark Stein, what do you remember from this time a year ago as the Mavericks are getting ready for the NBA Finals?
Sorry, I was distracted by sourcing stuff.
Of course you were.
What was the question?
Basketball. Do you like it?
The championship games?
Right. What do you remember getting ready for the championship games from a year ago?
I was disappointed that I was not in Boston. That's mainly what I remember. I only did the home games. Was
that by choice?
You got to see the one good one.
That was my selfish prevailing opinion.
So Game 1, the media spread and the media dining was lobster.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I do remember there were a lot of media pictures on Twitter about the meal.
It was very elaborate, and I know
it was lobster.
They had lobster. They had now I did not partake. I have a shellfish allergy, not a fear. Just can't eat it. But they went all out for the media dining. That's actually my lasting memory of Game 1.
I'm pretty sure I had pizza that night. Game 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Lobster
And
pizza.
it's interesting, like, who funded that? Like, did the league pay for that, or did the Celtics pay for that?
The Celtics, for sure. Because you came back to Dallas, and the media dining was actually closed off, and it was used for the NBA itself. So media dining was vouchers.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, were you not in Boston by choice, Mark Stein? Or was
No,
it,
definitely not by choice.
Okay.
But just proved too pricey for this humble independent journalist.
Understood. I remember going to the studio when I was the Mavericks pre- and post-game host on the radio side of things. And just the anticipation of that day, getting ready for a finals game. Never covered a finals game, never had been to a finals game. But obviously, as the Mavericks are going to be coming back here, it was just like, man, this is kind of crazy. The Mavericks are in the NBA Finals after what transpired last season. As Bobby mentioned, though, they didn't go quite the way they wanted to, especially in Game 1. Kristaps Porzingis. Speaking of Kristaps Porzingis, his former coach, Rick Carlisle, is in the NBA Finals tonight as the Indiana Pacers visit the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 1. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m., I believe. If you're going to be watching the game on ABC, 8:30 Eastern time for the boys and girls on the East Coast. But Rick Carlisle in the NBA Finals for the second time as a head coach, and doing so
championship games.
That's right. But this time doing so with another team in the Indiana Pacers. So Rick Carlisle spent over a decade plus with the Dallas Mavericks, won an NBA championship in 2011. Bobby, I'll start with you because you obviously worked for the organization, saw the ebbs and flows of the years of the Rick Carlisle era, spanning from Dirk Nowitzki winning a championship through some of the down years until that Luka kid came around, reviving the franchise, and then ultimately Rick Carlisle leaving to going to Indiana. Your thoughts and perspective as Rick gets ready for his NBA Finals tonight.
I mean, the number one most important and most impressive thing about Rick's ability as a coach is his ability to adapt to his personnel. He was coaching the Pacers 20 years ago. They were playing games with finals in like the 60s and 70s.
I just looked it up. His first ever playoff game as a head coach. The Pistons won. It was 85-63.
Wow. Yeah.
That was Rick Carlisle's postseason debut.
It's a different world. You know, it's a different universe now. And now he's coaching the Pacers, and they're regularly ringing up 120, 130 like it's nothing. And in between, you know, throughout his tenure in Dallas, the Mavs were a very slow-paced, low-scoring team, and then they had the most efficient offense of all time. 10 years later, you know, he's always constantly able to adapt and evolve to his personnel to put his team in the best position to succeed. And that is like such a valuable skill. You have to be flexible and adaptable as a coach. You cannot continuously try and fit square pegs into round holes because you're setting up your team for failure. And I think that a lot of shortcomings, you know, we notice a lot of shortcomings of other coaches whenever they try and do that, put players in a box, say it's my way or the highway. Those guys can wear thin on players in front offices alike, and they usually don't last long in places where they coach. Whereas Rick is able to kind of do the opposite of that. Now, there's other very well documented, well chronicled issues that he had with players over the years and with some other people. But just as a coach, I mean, as a tactician, he's just very adaptable. And you know, it was. I struggle to think of what might have happened had rookie version of Luka played for a coach that wasn't willing or able to kind of hand over the reins, you know, and say like, I know what this guy's got. I'm going to go all in on this over the next couple of years, because Luka might not have become the kind of player that he is. I mean, he might have anyway, but certainly would have done it playing a different way.
I can't remember if I told this story on the show. Maybe I did. I know I told it on a different. No, actually, yeah, because Kevin corrected me, but I'm going to tell it again. Just he was not lauded for the adaptability in, like, when he was here. I don't think that's something that was talked about that much. But what
was on Morning with the Mavs on the Mavs YouTube channel. But I want to say,
but by the end, I think it started to happen. But for a lot of his tenure, absolutely.
But in Indiana, I mean, you know, again, there was the Mavs have had tons of trouble with the Pacers in recent years, and it was early in the season, early November, and they came in here and the Pacers put up 135, and I walked out with him after the game, and I'm like, what has gotten in? You're Doug Moe now. What is with you, man? And he just laughed. But I mean, look, I think Halliburton, like, I did not watch a lot of Halliburton in college, but just he won me over so quickly in the NBA because of the way he embraced a really tough situation in Sacramento. And he wanted to be the guy who led the Kings out of the doldrums. And then less than 2 seasons into his career, the Kings dump him to Indiana. And, like, he could have been really salty and heartbroken about that. But then, like, he got to Indiana and did the same thing there. And you've heard him talk this week leading up to the finals about how happy he is living there, how perfect of a city it is for him. And it's just like, you know, that's the combination. Like, Rick has seen all the best things that Halliburton can do, accentuates it, has given him the keys, but also it's Halliburton's, I think, his leadership too. Like, it's just been a great match. And I mean, trivia time. Rick Carlisle has a chance to become only the 4th coach in league history to win a championship with 2 franchises. Can you gentlemen name the other 3 on Trivia Tuesday? Trivia Thursday.
I was going to take a shot. Phil Jackson,
Pat Riley.
Okay,
you got the two layups.
There's 2 more.
There's 1 more, and you will all be forgiven for not getting it because, frankly, I wouldn't get it if I didn't have the answer in front of me. On Trivia Thursday, it is not Tuesday. Does anyone in the chat know who are the 3 other coaches in NBA history who have won titles with 2 franchises?
Can you give us?
We have named Phil Jackson and Pat Riley.
Can you give us the 2 teams it was for?
Not without looking them up. It's that long ago.
Oh, wow.
Oh, are we talking like the 50s?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Forget about it.
Okay.
All right, let's end this.
Lefty Schofield, old lefty.
Alex Hannum
I was gonna say that. Why did you spoil it for me?
Definitely wasn't gonna get that one.
is the only other one.
Yeah, I think a big it's hard for me to know. This is so parasocial because I'm not in Indiana, but Rick very clearly applied lessons that he learned from coaching Jason Kidd to coaching Luka, and I have to believe because Halliburton seems to have similar levels of swag, confidence, and sass of Luka. He had to learn some lessons from Luka and apply them to coaching Halliburton. Had to.
Because he's giving the keys to the car to Halliburton.
Do we want to do more trivia that's restricted to this century?
Sure.
That was not convincing.
Do it.
Rick Carlisle will tonight become, this is via Basketball Reference, your favorite website,
Good site.
the 9th coach this century to appear in multiple NBA finals. This is all this century. Can you guys name the other 8 this century? Multiple finals this century.
Steve Kerr,
Eric
Popovich,
Spoelstra.
Spolstra, Ty Lue.
Yeah.
That 5 already?
4.
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson is 5.
That's right. And
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers is 6.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry.
We're only
That's
2
a good
away. Good work, gents. 2 away. These next 2 will be tougher.
Larry Brown.
We are on 7. Now, if you guys, there's.
Oh my God! Who's the guy?
I do have a good
Lawrence
hint.
Frank.
Close.
Oh,
I do have.
Is this the Brooklyn Nets?
I do have a good. I do have a
New
good
Jersey
hint
Nets.
for this one. Bobby Corella is in the zip code.
Rasho Nesterovic.
You're on the right franchise.
Who was their
The
coach?
right franchise for the Nets?
He coached
I don't
the
remember
coach
who
of
it
your
was.
Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
He coached.
2 back-to-back NBA Finals appearances.
For sure. I just don't remember
Who
who
was
the
the
coach
head
was.
coach of those Nets teams? Damn it.
Come
Nash.
on, guys. Come on, chat. Where's my chat
It
room?
was not. It was
It was
definitely
not. It was not that long ago. 2002, 2003. Playing against the Lakers. Playing against the Spurs. Who
I
was
don't
the
know.
Nets Where
coach
are our
of the-
chatters?
It wasn't Lawrence Frank. at that time?
Byron Scott.
Byron Scott.
Oh, we're not dealing with Byron Scott these days anyway, so whatever. Whatever. We'll leave that where it is.
So when Dallas set the best offense of all time, and this was by efficiency, but they did that in it was 1920, right? It was at the end of the bubble when they officially became the most efficient, the highest scoring per 100 possession offense of all time, and wrote a story about that accomplishment, about how the offense changed. Talked to Rick, and he talked in the early 2000s. He told me that he suggested making the rims bigger. Scoring was down, and he thought that the rims could get 15% bigger, so just more shots went in. He compared it to kind of the pitcher's mound. That's something that's been adjusted across different sports. And he realized very quickly what actually needed to happen was the skill level needed to increase. And, that's something that he embraced. He spent time with the 7 seconds and less Suns. And he was somebody who became to embrace offense in a different way than, the very defense first way that he approached, that he grew up in the sport. So, as we talk about his legacy, I think the adaptability and the, just the in-game and in-series ability for him to get the most out of his teams. I still think about that 2014 first-round series between the Mavericks and the Spurs that the Mavericks lost in 7. It was really the first time in NBA history that a team, certainly for the duration of a playoff series, went out and switched everything. You hear about switching, switching is the most common way to guard a pick and roll at this point in the NBA. But never had a team switched 1 through 5 every single pick and roll. And, that was the biggest challenge that San Antonio, the eventual title winners that season, really faced that entire postseason. So, this is a guy, Rick Carlisle, who has been, just the adaptability for sure. I remember another article I wrote, there's a source that said, he's adaptable as a MFer, like everybody, this is the guy who has always changed and learned to change with the NBA. And that can be really hard for a lot of coaches. There are people who would argue Popovich just over the past few seasons, was finally perhaps, struggling a little bit to adapt to what the NBA was now. These are things that when you grow up in a certain era and you always have to keep learning. And I think a lot of people, I think it's a very human thing that when you get to the top, you feel like you've learned everything. And the NBA is not that business. The NBA is a business that keeps evolving. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a player like Tyrese Halliburton, really hard to imagine.
But
he's adapted the entire way.
It's time for break. My bad.
Yeah, we'll come back to it more on the.
I have one more Rick Carlisle question for you guys.
Yeah, we'll deal with that on the other side of the break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Listen later on in the show. We will preview Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Pacers and the Thunder. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Cash App is a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. It's super easy to get started. You just enter your phone and your email. There's no bank account needed. Did your money show up right away? There's no waiting around for days. It's your money. You shouldn't have to wait. Sometimes, it's just nice. It's just nice. You go out to eat, to drink, you're splitting. You don't want to make the server do split it 9 different ways. Somebody takes the bill. I've often been the guy who's like, okay, let me get a little credit card points on this. But then I send out, I tally it up. I send out all the cash apps, send out all the requests. And it's just nice to instantly have that money. As soon as somebody sends it back, just instantly right away. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. There's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code, DLLS Mavs, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days. You'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
And with that money that you get, you can get yourself some tickets to go to your favorite game, concert, or sporting event when it comes to Game Time. With Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I used Game Time to get my tickets last week to go see the Dallas Wings take on the Chicago Sky. I'm going to do it again when the Sparks come to Dallas tomorrow to take on the Dallas Wings. I'm going to use Game Time to get some tickets as well. They got all in pricing, so you know exactly what you're going to pay before you get to check out. They got panoramic seat views as well, so I knew exactly where me and my wife and daughter wanted to sit before I purchased the ticket, so they were happy about the game that they were able to go to. So remember, you can take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and use code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Mark Stein, what time is it?
Game time.
That's right. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. A special shout out to our girl Erica Day in the chat as well, host of the PHNX Mercury Show and the DLLS Wings podcast as well, which will be on tomorrow at what time, Bobby Crow?
3 p.m. Central.
3 p.m. Central. We'll get
Great way to end your week.
That's
Good hoops
right.
talk, even better vibes.
We'll get you ready for the Sparks visiting your Dallas Wings tomorrow night.
Dorothy in studio. How
Dorothy
about that?
Gentry in studio.
Let's go.
Let's go. So make sure if you're a big Wings fan, WNBA fan, tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the DLLS Wings podcast. Good to see Erica hanging out with us here on the show today. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. The Thunder with the best record in the association this year at 68-14. The Pacers went on a torrid run when the calendar turned to 2025. They are your Eastern Conference champions. The team that they eliminated to get to the NBA Finals, we'll get to here in just a moment. But Mark Stein, more on Rick Carlisle, who is making his second NBA Finals appearance, looking for his second championship, this time with the Indiana Pacers, getting ready for tonight's game.
Yeah, I was just curious to throw this one out to the group, throw this one out to the chat. I mean, obviously the Mavs have only won one championship as a franchise, so Rick Carlisle is unequivocally the most successful coach in franchise history. So we can't really debate that, again, if there's only one championship. But who is your favorite coach in Mavericks history?
Nelly.
There have been many good ones. Nelly. Reflex answer.
Easy answer. They were playing a different sport than everyone else in the early thousands. Like, I don't know. I would have loved basketball no matter what because I had no choice in the matter. I don't know if I would love basketball as much as I do if I didn't watch those early thousands Mavs teams.
For me, it's definitely Dick Motta. One time, this is a true story, as reported by others. One time,
Wait. Okay, go ahead. But
the halftime entertainment involved a tiger or a lion, and Dick Motta's players had played horrifically, and so he asked the person to bring the tiger into the locker room to scare the ass out of them and try to wake them up for the second half. Reportedly, that is a true thing that really happened in the 90s.
I'm gonna go with Juan's answer. Avery Johnson. I would try to do an Avery Johnson impression.
Or was it
this is my team.
But I got to host the rest of the show. Speaking of Bobby Spurs, the idea of a former San Antonio Spur eventually coming to Dallas to be the head coach of this team and then taking the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals is kind of stuff like that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. But Avery Johnson was a fun coach, I thought, for the Dallas Mavericks as well. Of course, you had the
There have been a lot of good ones.
Pretty colossal disaster
Now-
in 06 and 07. I mean, let's not, Avery is a really good guy, though. Good person.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part. He's a fun guy. He's a good guy.
His
Are you
tenure
really
at
old enough to
unfortunate.
remember Dick Motta, Tim Cato? Come on.
Tim isn't even sure that it was Dick Motta.
Motta was unhappy with Dallas's uninspired effort in the first half. He persuaded that night's halftime act, a lion and tiger tamer, to let him borrow the tiger just long enough to scare the athlete out of his team. When Motta strode into the dressing room with a big cat on a leash, some players were not amused. Guard Jim Sparkinell.
Spanarkle.
Nervously tried tiptoeing backwards towards the shower stalls, only to freeze
Are you
when
trying
Motta
to
commanded.
tank your Mavs credibility in one segment?
Dude doesn't even know Jim Spanarkle.
This is the kicker of the story.
All right, don't yell.
Only to freeze when Motta commanded, "Don't." He'll just corner you in there.
I feel like that would not.
Let me read the story.
That would not fly in this era.
Voice go that high before.
Is that from that 100 Things You Have to Know About the Mavs written by Tim Cato?
It's from a Sports Illustrated article. It might have made it in there. It's from a old Vault SI article by Jonette Howard.
Famous writer.
Very nice. I'm still flabbergasted at Tim's voice. Just I've never heard that ever in my life.
Nelly.
Big Jim Spanarkle guy.
Jim Spanarkle. What a great name.
I'm pretty sure they traded Jim Spanarkle for like Detlef Shrimp or something. Great deal.
Great
Let me
name.
see.
Speaking of Rick Carlisle eliminating the New York Knicks, we got into a lot of that yesterday. Yes, Juan Cato crashed out a little bit there. Let's finish up anything that we have left, Mark, signed from yesterday when it comes to the idea that the Knicks are interested in Jason Kidd and what things are looking like moving forward here. The Rockets have already, through your reporting, has said that no, you're not going to talk to Ime Udoka. I guess the Mavericks, and you can help me out here, will do so once a request is made.
Yeah, no request has been made.
Yeah.
But the Knicks' interest is legit, and the noise about it is only getting louder, and the question will be, will they formally ask so the Mavs can formally swat it away? I do not foresee anything really happening here. But again, one of the most fascinating aspects of this Thibodeau situation is, again, the man, like him or not, was the most successful coach that the Knicks have had in a quarter century, and it's not close. And you would think if you're going to oust him that you do have a succession plan in mind. And like, it's quite baffling around the league. Now, again, maybe the Knicks have a secret plan that they just haven't enacted and nobody knows about it yet. But around the league, there is so much curiosity, and people are throwing out names, and it's very puzzling.
I wanted to ask you this yesterday, and I didn't get a chance. And I want to ask you now. So, with their interest in him, do they think? And you can say, Kevin, I don't know how the Knicks are thinking necessarily, but do they think that he is gettable if they feel like they can reach out to the Mavericks and try to talk to him? Do they feel like there's a chance that he actually would consider this? Because I would imagine a coach who's under contract, you're not necessarily trying to go after unless you feel like there's actually a chance.
Any coach would want to be wanted by another franchise because it increases your leverage, your standing. Like, what coach wouldn't want a team with the financial resources of the Knicks to come after you? I mean, I think any coach in that position would probably relish just the interest. But
I certainly think Jason Kidd, this is his MO. You know, he is always appreciative and willing. You know, I think that
And you asked me about the Knicks. Just my gut would say that the Knicks feel like we can get anybody. You know, again, they have the financial resources to send Tom Thibodeau packing when he's got $30 million left on his deal and multiple years. So I'm sure the Knicks feel like we can afford anybody and recruit anybody. Like I said, when I checked with sources with knowledge of Houston's thinking, it was immediately conveyed to me, no way, no how the Knicks can call that request would be denied. To this point, I don't have a denial or a inkling from the Mavs that the request would be swatted away that firmly, but I expect that. I can't, if you're the Mavericks, I can't imagine why you would even entertain this for 1 second, because again, if you're going to have Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving on the team, and they're going to be on the team next season, those guys want to play for Jason Kidd. Like, you need Jason Kidd to be the coach. So
seems like you do have a coach right now that really good players enjoy playing for.
Yeah, which I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a massive thing.
Could not always say that about the guy we talked about in the last segment. Let's be clear.
It's a massive thing, and it's like it's just talked about like it's pretty notable. Like, to this day, the relationship he has with Giannis is I mean, that would be a reason why that would be one of the reasons why the Knicks would presumably be interested, because Giannis still holds Jason Kidd in such high regard. I mean, like, that's not an insignificant point that Anthony Davis, and I think especially Kyrie Irving, wants to play. They want to play for Jason Kidd. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Even last season, so not last season in the finals, last season before the finals when the Celtics came through Dallas, Boston beat the Mavs pretty good. That game was the Grant Williams Super Bowl. I believe there were some texts. It was kind of a weird game. But after the game, Jaylen Brown is staying on the court for like 5 minutes after the game, just chatting with J Kidd. Like, every good player likes him, you know, and that does mean something, because Rick, on the other hand, who we just talked about, tactical mastermind, adaptable, flexible, malleable coach, genius coach. No one's staying for 5 minutes to talk to Rick, you know, and it's kind of choose your fighter. Do you want someone that is more renowned for their basketball brain? Do you want someone that's more renowned for the respect that they draw from players? I would say both are equally valuable, because players are happy playing for Kidd, and the Mavs just went to the finals last year.
Just being a Hall of Fame, you know, point guard, just being a Hall of Fame player.
There's so much cachet.
It definitely adds cachet. It's not a guarantee that means that you're going to be a beloved coach. Steve Nash did not end up being a beloved coach. He is a beloved figure in the NBA and by most players. Obviously, like, he has a great relationship with LeBron James. You know, look at the podcast they do together.
Hell, RJ Barrett's his godson.
Exactly, but it is not guaranteed. It's not just because, you know, clearly this is a strength of Jason Kidd, is that he has a skill and an ability to manage, to coach, to have relationships with superstars.
Yeah, the relationships in this business is extremely important, and that's one of the things that Jason Kidd has been able to, whether it was with Luka when he was here, obviously with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving, he is able to relate to the players that he's coaching, and I'm sure someone like Jalen Brunson, who obviously played for a year with Jason Kidd, would feel the same way if he were to come to New York. So
J Kidd is pretty adaptable too. Let's not mince words here. Like, that dude believed way more in Jalen Brunson than Rick did.
One of the things that he said at the beginning of that year
was DNPs in the playoffs under Rick, and then the next year he got maxed out because J Kidd believed in him.
And maybe that's a reason why the Knicks have interest in Jason Kidd, because Jalen Brunson would appear to be a huge fan. Another very salient point from the Illustrator. I mean these are not accidental things. I see Juan in the chat says, I'd rather have a coach's coach. Not in this league, my friend. No. And first of all, the notion that he's like
he's not a dunce.
That his tact. I mean, Jason Kidd was an on-court genius as a player. You saw the Mavs after all the injuries. How many times did we say last season that this team played to its maximum, no matter how many regulars were out?
They played for him.
Like,
yeah. I'll never forget one of the things that Jason Kidd said prior to Jalen Brunson's final season here was that I want to get Jalen Brunson paid. And obviously, Jalen Brunson went on to have a really good year and cashed out with the New York Knicks. But him saying that and that being a goal for him, I thought was very interesting. And the way that he was able to help him execute that turned out well for Jalen Brunson and his bank account, turning into a star in New York City. I'm sure as the days go on here, as we get close to the NBA draft, we'll have more on this when it comes to Jason Kidd, the Mavericks, and the New York Knicks. But for now, we will wait and see what happens with that going forward. Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, let's preview Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the best defense in the league and one of the best offenses in the league when it comes to the Thunder and the Pacers. We'll talk about it next on DLLS Mavs podcast.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Impart Today can help you get it. Impart Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals, focused on flooring every single day of their lives. Impart Today is your best bet for a new floor because they live and breathe flooring. They're going to be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. You can pick out the flooring and the right colors for your space. You can see how it looks with your furniture in your home. You know, you don't have to just envision it or visualize it. You know, it's not a 3D tour of, like literally, just see what the floor looks like. The type, the colors, see how it looks like in your home so you know it's perfect. With Empire Today, you get clear up front and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit ImparToday.com/DLLS for full details.
When you're getting ready for Game 1 of the Finals tonight, or hey, if you want to watch Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, if you want to watch the Wings tomorrow night, whatever game, whatever entertainment you got going on this weekend, you're going to be hanging out with your friends, you're going to be hanging out with your family, you're going to be hanging out by yourself. It doesn't matter. We got so many questions in our lives to answer. What to eat, what to serve, what to drink, what to have, what to watch. Cut out all of that nonsense. Flip on the game, get your favorite pizza, and stock your fridge full of your favorite beer, and that is Bud Light. You don't know what to serve these people, man? Just go to your go-to spot, grab some za, and then fill that thing up with a 30-pack of Bud Light. It is that easy, just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, it's easy to drink and even easier to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. You must be 21 or older. Bud Light from Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light beer in St. Louis, Missouri.
Appreciate all of you hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Something interesting that just came across here that I'm sure may spark some interest from Mark Stein. It's being reported that Justin Ishbia and Jerry Reinsdorf have reached an agreement establishing the framework for Ishbia to take over the controlling stake of the Chicago White Sox beginning in 2029. So the Ishbia family getting involved in the baseball side of things as well as what they're doing.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't know much about it. I mean, I knew that was a possibility. I'm sure our CHGO friends will be rejoicing that there might be an infusion of new money into the downtrodden White Sox. But what exactly does that have any connection to Suns? I got to be honest. I got to do some asking and checking because I don't know much about it, to be honest.
Can brothers be owners of different NBA teams? Like, what if the Bulls are next? Is that illegal?
If Justin Ishbia owned the Bulls and his brother Matt
as long as you can prove it's separate, I would assume it is.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like, does it's Josh Ishbia as the brother? Like, does he have any level of interest, any stake in the Suns? And I genuinely don't know. I don't know the answer.
Who can say?
Just thought that was interesting. A little bit of crossover when it comes to the Ishbia family getting more involved. They've been awful busy this week as they've hired a new head coach and Jordan Ott taking over in Phoenix, a team that's trying to get there as far as a lot of teams trying to get to the NBA Finals, of course, when it comes to the Pacers visiting the Oklahoma City Thunder. You've got the best offense in one of the best offenses in the league. You've got the best defense and the best offense in the league when it comes to the Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Pacers tonight. What are we looking for in Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight, Tim Cato?
The Pacers are so good with tempo and pace and getting down the court. not just to score fast break points. Certainly they prioritize and score a lot of those, fifth in the NBA last regular season. They love to get down and get cross matches and run this kind of random basketball where they just bet that at some point the opponent, is going to have a bad defender on one of their guys in a situation and a place on the court that they feel good about. The problem is the Thunder don't really play any bad defenders. They don't really have any obvious matchups to attack. And so I could see, two cycles. I could see this going two ways. Indiana is just so turnover resistant. They're very good at reducing turnovers. But all of a sudden, if they're, so much of their offense is built on this random mismatch basketball, that if they start pressing to find advantages and their turnovers start creeping up, and all of a sudden the Thunder, the best team in the league at generating turnovers, as we all know, we've heard about all season, they're just racing down the other way. Obviously, that's game over. That is the disaster for Indiana. But if Indiana can keep finding and moving, and this was the team with the second most passes in the NBA last season, and passing a lot certainly makes you more vulnerable to potentially turning it over, especially against a team like OKC. But if you can find a happy medium of the offense is still whirring, it's still going, it's moving along, and Indiana is at least finding shots. They're not turning it over, crucially, no live ball turnovers. Then all of a sudden OKC has to come back the other way. And what we've seen from OKC is that the weakest part of their entire juggernaut of a team, which it is, one of the best teams we've seen, maybe the best team we've seen this decade by a lot of metrics. One of the most challenging things is their half-court offense can occasionally bog down. Now, I don't know how I feel about Andrew Nembhard guarding Shea. I don't love that. But I don't love anybody guarding Shea, obviously. But that's kind of the cycle that I could see of, if all this, so much of what Indiana's offense is built off, just it's not going to be made available to them by OKC. So if they can find a way around that, I think we're looking at some just awesome games. Just
did you guys register your predictions in digital ink on the Stein line? Now we have an open file for you to.
I did not.
I'll go in and do that.
I'll have to
formally
do that.
put your prediction down. What?
So tell me this: is Indiana gonna do magic and steal a game? I know you can't tell me that, but if you tell me they're gonna steal a game, which they've done in every game,
I can see them winning one of these first two games.
I think they got to get game one tonight to give themselves some confidence for the rest of the series, because the Thunder, Bobby, have beaten teams mercilessly, I should say, throughout the course of the postseason. In fact, they've won 4 games by at least 30 points this postseason. That's a record in the NBA postseason. Like, the Thunder have been beating teams down all year long. If the Pacers want to give themselves some confidence, I think they got to get game one tonight, because otherwise, I'll just give my prediction. I think the Thunder win the series in 5. I'm taking the Thunder in 5 games.
I mean, I went Thunder in 6 because I've become such a fan of the Pacers, and I was like, you know what, they're going to find a way to scratch out 2 games. But I mean, like, all the metrics say the Thunder should win.
Yeah,
this
OKC
series.
is like a historically great team. I absolutely think they'll win, and maybe not in 5. 5 is tough, but it might be 5. I mean, who knows? But the Pacers are going to be the toughest task for them so far from the Thunder's POV defensively, because leave Memphis out of it, Denver and Minnesota's offense can generously be described as a little predictable and at times clunky. Like, that's the nicest way to talk about how they play. There's this woman, Caitlin Cooper, that writes about the Pacers, and she's an unbelievable basketball mind. She was on the Low Post yesterday, so go check that out. She's got a Substack, and she's got all sorts of coverage. I've learned a lot about basketball from her over the years, but the best thing about the Pacers making it this far is all of the other basketball nerds are writing about their offense too. And if you want to learn terminology and concepts, oh my God, the Pacers are the team to watch, because they run so many actions just like as a matter of course, very casually doing all sorts of stuff on the floor that make it really, really tough to figure out what's going on. They're putting your lungs to the test.
I mean, Nash and LeBron went on and on about all
Yeah, and I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, and like, you have to communicate so much. You have to switch so much or risk conceding either open threes or cuts to the rim or whatever. And OKC that's going to be a huge change for them, because Minnesota is just is a battering ram going downhill. Denver is just, it's Jokic, and then no one else on this team can dribble. With the Pacers, it's everyone can dribble, everyone can drive, everyone can shoot, everyone's moving around. Like it's going to be really
Denver
really interesting.
Still though, you still like we've it's kind of forgotten now because they just mauled Minnesota. But like Porter was hurt, Gordon was playing hurt.
I do think if they had more effective size,
we talked endlessly about how the Thunder's defense, their activity was bothering Jokic more than anybody ever bothers Jokic, and the Nuggets still drag that thing to 7 games.
And I think that was the stress test for the Oklahoma City Thunder, getting pushed by, an NBA champion from just a couple of years ago, and what was a terrific series between the Nuggets and the Thunder. They had a championship moment against the Minnesota Timberwolves as well, when the Timberwolves were everything in the kitchen sink at them. But the Thunder was still able to win that game 128-126. There have been moments in these playoffs where I thought, okay, I think Oklahoma City's starting to figure it out what it means to play in those kinds of moments. And we talk about the pressure, Tim, that the Pacers put on, teams from an offensive standpoint. The pressure that the Oklahoma City Thunder put on you for 48 minutes is kind of insane. They're a team that will get you, in terms of deflections, steals, lengthy, athletic. They can bother you in a number of different ways. And I'm interested to see the chess match of how the offense of the Indiana Pacers goes against that constant pressure of the Oklahoma City Thunder, because they will give you hell for 48 minutes, especially with guys like Lou Dort and Alex Caruso and the length that they have defensively. Casey Wallace, you pick them. They've got tremendous defenders all over the place.
I expect the series to go small both ways. I'm curious which team has to do it first, but I think it would not surprise. I think by game 3 or game 4, Obi Toppin is going to be playing more minutes than Miles Turner. That's my guess, and I suspect that we won't see the double big lineup from OKC by game 3 or 4 as well.
You think Turner gets played off the floor, huh? Wow.
I mean, played off the floor versus just a backup getting more minutes than him, but yeah, I don't think, and we'll see. He's also got the ability to hit 8 of 8, just shoot 8 of 8 on jumpers. But my guess, my gut feeling is that this series is going to trend small. And, I say it's a gut feeling, but it's also just, as much as the double big lineups and big men revival, like everybody's talking about that. This has been a big theme to this season. It's been a correct theme. There have been a lot of teams re-embracing 2 big lineups in a way that they hadn't over the past half decade. But most postseasons go small. Most postseasons downsize. This is, especially by the time you get to the finals,
that sets up pretty good for Pascal.
I agree.
A great move by the Pacers.
Yeah. Low-key, Pascal Siakam's resume is getting pretty stacked. He's already an NBA champion as the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, looking for a second championship as far as his career is concerned. So let's go through predictions real quick. I said the Thunder win in 5. Tim, who you got?
I'll say Thunder in 6, but, these predictions are always so tough because, just because you select the likeliest outcome. You select what you think the likeliest outcome is. Doesn't mean that we
that's what a prediction is.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that we don't think other outcomes are likely, though.
I think this is going to be...
Way to hedge, man. Make a stand.
That's wild, man.
I'm going to be confident and say Thunder in 5.5.
So he's got the Thunder
I'm a man
6.
of conviction.
He's got the Thunder in 6. We got folks in the chat saying OKC in 7. Some folks saying OKC in 6.
I do just want to say this, though. This is such a great finals. OKC and the Pacers, 2 teams that actually had success rebuilding. They've made it work. Rebuilding is not a great way to go, and we just talked about how tanking yesterday is really silly. The Pacers never totally outright tanked, but they did draft really well, and they made some trades. They made some moves. They made it work. The Thunder have drafted excellently. Chet has been their only pick, in the top 10, basically, that they got. They've just killed it building their team through the draft and with some savvy free agency moves. Both of these teams play in states where their fans are obsessed with their team. The arenas are going to be electric. The mood is going to be awesome. They play fast. They play skilled. They play hard. It is going to be a really, really fun series. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you all to watch it.
Yeah, but I just looked at the two market sizes, and I'm not.
You almost made me cuss.
That's a tough thing.
Who
man.
cares?
The population is just not there.
Yeah, that's honestly when I think about an NBA basketball game and whether I'm going to enjoy it, whether I'm even going to watch it. The first thing I do is I Google the population size of the two cities that are playing against each
I
other.
root for metros, not teams.
I look up their mayors, you know, and
All city like the mayor.
That's right. It's literally in our show. Okay?
I'm gonna say this one time. Who cares about the markets? Who cares about the television ratings? Who cares if there isn't your typical quote unquote superstar Jason McIntyre? The idea is you've got two high level basketball teams. Somebody, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I know who it is. You got two high level teams that are playing at the peak of their powers right now, and watching these two teams go at it in a 7-game series is going to be a hell of a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it as a basketball fan. No matter how much we don't like Lou Dort, Bobby Carrillo, this is gonna be a fun
Can't
series.
stand that dude.
This is gonna be a fun series between the Pacers and the Thunder. Continue to put your thoughts in the chat as far as who you believe will win the NBA Finals as they get started tonight in Oklahoma City. Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we made some predictions just a second ago. There were some other ones that we may have made that we might have been wrong about. We'll talk about those next.
not me.
But first, it's ball knower time. Hey, do you know ball? Because if you do, click the link in the description below. You can predict who's going to win the finals. You can predict who's going to win the game 1 of the NBA Finals. You can predict who's going to win game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. How about the Oilers with the comeback last night, winning at the very end of the first overtime?
Draisaitl, goodness.
If you go on our site right
Los
now and
Petroleros.
you activate the that ball knower bonus, that you go purchase an order worth at least $25. If you get your prediction right, then you get a gift card worth exactly what you paid for the previous order. So you can go get a ton of free stuff at our site if you know ball. Now, you can also get a discount on all of our other stuff on our site at any time, whether or not you know ball. If you become a diehard, you can do that by scanning the QR code right beneath Mark Stein. Clicking the link in the description below, or going to alldls.com for $4 a month. You can become a diehard. When you do, you get a free shirt of your choice, discount on any other merch, discount on events. We are going to be doing some public hangouts and maybe some movies and some book club stuff coming up. So join the Discord for that. We also have a whole website, alldls.com, where every single day we publish a lot of articles. You get to read the whole website if you become a diehard. You get your physical diehard card if you become a diehard. And you get, what was the last thing? Oh, you get to join the Discord. I kind of mentioned that in passing, but you do get to join the Discord. Mm-hmm. Cowboys got a Vegas trip coming up. This is unrelated to being a diehard, but I'm sure a lot of diehards are going to go. From November 15th to 18th, you can go party with the DLLS Cowboys crew in Las Vegas as they prepare for Cows at Raiders on Monday Night Football. That is going to be November, I believe, 17th.
That's right.
Monday Night Football in Vegas. A whole bunch of people from Dallas are going to be at that game, including our own DLS Cowboys crew. We're going to be doing shows out there, hanging out there. You're going to be there every step of the way, and that package includes tickets to the game to watch whoever plays at running back for the Cowboys out-duel Ashton Jeanty in Vegas on Monday Night Football.
I want to go. You want to go?
Honestly, I would love to, but I'm sure I'm not allowed.
I want to hang out with Stein in
Vegas?
Vegas. I want to hang out with Stein in Vegas.
What the mayor banned you?
Can't talk about it.
Is like, so you're banned from the city itself, or
Do
the
you guys want
airport,
some Mavs
or just
news?
like all of the casinos have banned you, so there's like no point in going.
We have Mavs news from Mark Stein.
Not from me, but I'm relaying it. Chris Paul is currently on the Pat McAfee show.
Okay.
And he says, I'm in LA right now, and Cooper Flagg is out there. I've been in the gym with him a couple times, and he is as advertised. The Mavs getting the number 1 pick is crazy.
What does it mean?
Mavs potential free agent target, Chris Paul, already in the gym with future Mav Cooper Flagg.
That's got to be tampering, right?
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
I'm diehard card.
What Chris Paul skill do you want Cooper Flagg to learn?
How to get away with committing a lot of cheap shots.
Actually, no, we don't want that. Like, we want some ethical basketball players.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and like, relax.
I want him to teach him the 3-pointer where he shoots it like that. It kind of looks like, I guess it's kind of like Jokic, but like different.
I think shooting approximately 96% on right elbow pull-ups.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I feel like there has been no more automatic shot, I feel like, over the last 10, 15 years than Chris Paul's elbow jumper.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Shea is getting there already,
Shea
too.
is getting there.
Yeah. Wouldn't Chris Paul being on the Mavs be crazier than Cooper Flagg being on the Mavs?
Yes.
Chat, help me out there.
I think that it would continue the legacy of players that should have been on the Mavs a decade prior joining the Mavs. Like Darren Williams already did that. You know, Frank Ntilikina did that. Don't forget about him.
Darren Williams, DeAndre
Chris
Jordan,
Paul just
Hassan Whiteside.
Chris Paul just started and played
you're right.
82 games as a San Antonio Spur, and I still can't get used to that. Like every time I saw Chris Paul in a Spurs uniform,
it's like a real jump scare.
I'm like, come on, man, this is not right.
Remember when Isaiah Thomas was a Maverick?
Briefly.
Oh man, the Isaiah Thomas era.
The game.
Isaiah Thomas game.
Right, that's what I said. The era, exactly. I know what I said. That's right, Tanner. We got when it comes to our Frosty.
Oh yeah. Will DLLS Mavs be at Summer League? Stay tuned.
That's not a take, but we did have some takes that we weren't necessarily too proud of or maybe wrong about. I don't have any of those. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to go through some of the things that we may have said that might have been wrong and that we didn't get right.
Utah game.
Speaking of Frosties.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Tanner.
I'm trying to get the spoon unwrapped.
Really? You didn't have this ready?
Well, I'm trying to not make loud noise into the microphone.
It's okay. It's a little ASMR
so hard to be
for somebody. But at the same time,
it was a weird season to make predictions.
It was a weird season.
It was such a weird season to make predictions for. The one that comes to mind right away for me is that I thought Quentin Grimes would outplay Klay Thompson. Maybe not outplay, but I did not think Klay Thompson would start every single game he was available. I thought at some point Quentin Grimes, and certainly I didn't think he was going to close as often as he did, though there was absolutely games Klay did not close. It was about 50-50, but I thought Quentin Grimes was going to be the guy who kind of earned that over Klay. Just a little bit more versatile, a little bit more two-way, a little bit more, just fits in.
That's good.
And
that's good.
Yeah, how'd that go? How'd that prediction go for me?
Not so well for you.
Yeah.
We should make you eat some ice cream just to, or eat a Frosty.
Oh, you guys didn't give me any.
Well, I think there's an important distinction
I'm being
here.
Excluded.
No.
One could make the case that at stretches of the season, Quentin Grimes did outplay Klay Thompson. It just was on another team.
That Lakers game comes to mind.
Yeah, he definitely outplayed him as a member of the Sixers.
Balled out against the Cleveland Cavaliers at one time.
So you're saying my take was not actually as frosty as the Frosty you were currently eating right now.
I think it would have been a cold take had they not traded Grimes.
Right.
I got a pretty cold one. I'm not going to lie to you. Earlier this year, I thought Derek Lively was going to be an all-star. Yeah, I definitely thought that the second-year leap was incoming for the second-year man from Duke, and I was clearly not correct.
Although, again, tough. He was injured.
He got injured later. Yeah, he was healthy for a while.
Before the All-Star game, yeah.
I mean, let history show when that starting five, that one particular starting five, that one time, he was playing at a terrific level. But, yeah, injuries derailed his second year. So, yeah, me thinking Derek Lively was going to be an all-star, yeah, man, freezing cold.
I had a pretty frosty Derek Lively take, too.
Yeah.
I wasn't wrong by much. I said that Lively would have more made threes than Luka had dunks this year.
And how many dunks did Luka have?
I believe they tied at 0.
No.
What?
Luka had 1 dunk.
No! I was so wrong.
You were really wrong.
You were infinitely wrong.
I'm almost positive there is footage of me saying Derek Lively will make more threes than Luka will have dunks. That turned out to be a horrendous take. All right, so I'm eating my frosty. That was a frosty cold take.
Do you feel shame?
I need French fries for that take.
Oh, that would be good with the frosty for sure. Yeah, we fashion ourselves as a show where Bobby has let us know that we have the best basketball takes, but sometimes you know what? We get it wrong from time to time.
Well, okay, in my defense,
what?
I didn't predict the season to happen the way it did. All right?
And that's the
there
caveat
was a lot of
here.
stuff out of our control. So
no one did. Yeah,
that's a lot of hedging.
I'll laugh at myself for being wrong, but I'm the victim here. Okay. Mark Stein, do you have any frosty takes from this year?
I mean, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I did predict that Luka would finish his career in Dallas and win championships here.
Oh,
So
wow.
I guess that's Frosty.
Did you pick him to win MVP this
I
year?
need a Frosty to make me feel better after that. That made me sad.
That is a great question, and I would have to go back and look it up.
I'm trying to remember because I feel like you thought that he was going to win.
I'm pretty sure I did based off usually the guy who.
I definitely did predict Quentin Grimes going to Philly and averaging 25 a game in the month of March. I did. I certainly did
Everyone
nail
saw that
one.
coming.
Yeah. I made the same prediction, but I said he was going to average 23. It was just embarrassing. Embarrassing on my part.
Yeah.
You're right, Cameron. Lively as an all-star was a pretty bold take. Look, I thought, like I said, the second-year leap was incoming.
In fairness to you, I believe it wasn't a bold take segment.
Okay, well, I appreciate. Thank you for the
just want to defend you here.
I appreciate.
You can see
that.
the vision, though. I mean, like he averaged. I don't know, the playoffs. Everything is weird, but didn't he average a double-double in the playoffs?
He did.
He looked really good
He looked
against
amazing.
the Wolves and the Celtics. You think, okay, if this gets even better,
Legitimate argument.
like
that
if he averages 13 and 11 and 3 blocks, then like that,
you could legitimately have argued he was a top 50 player at his best during stretches of last postseason, down the stretch of last season. Top 50, top 60 player. Now, huge gap between top 50 and top 30. Like
Sure.
that's it's tough to go 50 to 30, but at the same time, there's 450 players in the NBA.
Yeah.
So he certainly closer than not, but yeah.
I had high hopes for the second-year man.
I'm pretty sure we all said the Mavs would get a top 3 seed, and this was the year they would definitely have home court in the first round.
No, Mark, I said the Mavs would get a top 3 pick. All right, and I was right.
Come on, Mark.
You
Get
just,
with it.
Well,
Get with
do you
it.
misspeak?
No,
No, you didn't.
You for sure said
Yep.
pick, not seed.
go pour through the footage. You'll find it. Just go back and watch all the
Why
shows.
didn't you just say they would get the number 1 pick?
Oh, I wanted to hedge.
There you go.
That's a huge hedge. You said they could get one of 3 different picks.
Stop attacking me.
Ozzy
I'm
D
eating a Frosty.
with the $1.99 super chat, rooting for Carlisle and my Tyrese Halliburton rookie cards.
Got to watch out for yourself, man, and your investment.
Hey, you got to look out for number 1, Ozzy D. I respect it.
Yep. Good luck.
Man.
We didn't get a Stein prediction for the NBA Finals. We got all three.
Thunder in 6.
Thunder in 6.
Yeah, I said.
Okay.
I got to give Indy 2 games out of respect.
Did they get one in Oklahoma City?
It wouldn't shock me if they won tonight. It wouldn't.
The one thing that scares me about this series is that OKC has been, especially the OKC's role players have been underperforming on threes, just on shooting in general, but especially open catch and shoot threes. Indiana has been overperforming. If that reverses, and for OKC, we at least we saw it happen also last season and in the postseason when they lost to Dallas. It may just keep happening, but if that trend were to flip around or reverse or normalize, this is going to be a very, very, very quick series.
We also need to remember that it is the finals. It is a different stage. The whole thing feels different. And who's played in the finals? Caruso, Siakam, Thomas
Caruso's final
Bryant.
big asterisk next to Caruso's final because it was the bubble.
Right.
It was not
So
the
it's
same
like,
vibe. Yeah.
Let's see. The Thunder are overwhelming favorites. It is a different world, and getting used to that finals feel, it's different for everybody. So we'll see who adapts more quickly, and how much of an advantage is it that one of Indiana's star twosome has already been to the finals and won the finals. I mean, that's not nothing. So I think that's a big thing to watch tonight.
Thunder, one of the heaviest favorites in NBA Finals history when it comes to their odds of winning the NBA Finals. It would be, according to Vegas, a colossal upset if the Indiana Pacers found a way to get this done against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who we mentioned a little bit earlier.
Ozzy D says your pizza takes are horrendous.
Oh, wow.
What did I ever do to you, bud?
Have we ever had like a huge pizza debate on this show? Maybe I missed it.
I don't know. That could be from my days at the Mavs.
Well,
I have
watch-alongs.
said a lot of stuff
Watch-alongs.
about this.
Oh, you're watching. Yeah,
Because I like cheese pizza?
Watch-alongs.
What's wrong with cheese pizza?
It's
But
a kid's
I don't think
pizza.
it's what you like. I think it's what you
It's a
dislike.
child's pizza.
My pizza takes are so scandalous that they could
You're
upend
lucky
this whole
Tim's
show.
between you and me.
What? Tanner,
It's a child's
never
pizza.
mind.
I'm a grown man.
who eats
I'm
child-
34.
You have okay.
I'm 34 and I like cheese
low
pizza.
key, like if we're gonna get down to brass tacks, low key, you and Kavanaugh have the palates of 5 and 6 year olds.
Dude, I eat vegetables regularly.
We've got to take Bobby down a peg.
Tim, this is not the day, bud. I got 3 hours of meetings after
Very
this
frosty,
show, all right?
very
I don't want to hear
frosty
it.
ending to this show.
That's right.
Very
Appreciate
frosty.
our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. That is our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. That is our cheese pizza eating
I
Mavericks
like
analyst, Bobby
pepperoni
Crow.
too, all right? Leave me alone.
No, it's too late for that now. That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.